Hi, Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Thank you for watching this show today. This is my show on preventing and reversing type 2 diabetes. And I talk about type 1 a little bit. You know, type 1 is where your body makes no insulin, and you need to take insulin shots. If you didn't, you might not be alive. But what causes type 1 diabetes? I mean, something we all think it's an autoimmune disease that happens because of an antibody-antigen reaction, but a lot of times it's caused by drinking milk. Because all the hormones and the proteins that are added to the cow, growth hormone. As soon as the cow has a calf, they give it growth hormone to make it grow so they can produce more milk. And then pesticides and herbicides are sprayed on the cow, and then you give the milk to your kid. Those people are more likely to have diabetes. That's something to think about. And so type 2 is a type where sugar is also elevated, but insulin is not secreted by the pancreas enough, and you can't stuff the sugar in the cell, and that's type 2 diabetes. And most people would think, well, the overweight people are the only ones who have type 2 diabetes, but that's wrong. About 70–80% of the people that are overweight will have type 2 diabetes, but about 30% of the trophies thin on the outside, but they have fat in their pancreas and their liver, and their pancreas is not working, not working right. And they have insulin resistance, and the insulin level goes up and up and up and up till the pancreas dies. But that disease is preventable. Remember, though, the trophy, and some are overweight, by eating the right food. Okay, so eating not as much sugary foods, and the insulin is not needed. Okay, so 80–90% of the people who have diabetes have type 2. There's also type 3 and gestational, the other types, but the main one is type 2. That's 80–90% of it, but it can be prevented and reversed. Actually, what you may be interested in, so what diseases, why don't I want you to have it? Does type 2 diabetes cause? Heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, increased rates of cancer, amputations, dislocations, it kills the kidney, can be too many fat deposits in the liver, and can develop fatty liver. I can go on and on and on. Skin diseases, for example, neurologic diseases can be associated with it too. ALS, for example, and multiple sclerosis can be associated with it. So to prevent it in the first place would be the biggest thing. Now they give insulin for the type 2 diabetic. Well, insulin pushes sugar in the cell goes like this, and you become way overweight, and things get worse. So when these companies want to convince you to stay on insulin, which a lot of people do, the doctor doesn't even bring up. Here's your prescription, instead of saying, let's get rid of your disease. Or if they could do serum insulins, they are elevated 10–15 years before the blood sugar is ever up. You know, when your blood sugar is up, oh, you're type 2 diabetic, okay? But if you get serum insulins and order them, say, even in children and adults, so if you come to me and say, well, I'm not diabetic, well, if you haven't had a serum insulin, I don't know that you're diabetic or not. Serum insulins are elevated 10 to 15 years before the blood sugar is ever elevated. Yes. And you could be having diseases from elevated serum insulin, vascular disease. And they found out the science when the Vietnamese, Korean, American soldiers died of normal weight, say. They found the American soldiers had evidence of vascular disease, although they had no symptoms. That's a scientific discovery. And the Vietnamese and Koreans, they were normal, no evidence of any disease except they died from the bullets or whatever. So prevention is the big thing by eating the right food, and that frankly is a combination of good fats. You got to find, fats are good for you. Yes. You need to find out what good fats are. Guacamole, olives, for example, are good fats. Protein, but not too much, a certain amount of protein. Our body determines our need for protein. When we do muscular activity, I'm playing pickleball tonight, certain muscle fibers will get torn down. But our body recycles 80% of them, uses them again. So you only have to consume 20% essential proteins, okay? So eggs for breakfast, for example, would be a good example. And 15% or so fruits and vegetables, and so much sugar inside of fruits. But if they have not been processed, turned into juices, they're low sugar and high sugar fruits, and some berries on top. Yes, they'll say eat many plants. That's frankly incorrect. Plants don't make certain fat soluble vitamins. For example, some vitamin D, for example, B12, are found mainly in fats. So you do need to eat some animal fats. There's a book written called the Vegetable Con. Read it for yourself. So to be purely vegetarian isn't necessarily healthy. Everybody thinks I'm vegetarian, I'm healthy. You may even become healthy. You might lose weight and you look pretty good, but the bottom line is not just the vegetarian diet. You need to eat some animal products, okay? And the diabetes type 2 is spread across the world. It's really a pandemic, an epidemic. Probably 80-90% of the people in our community are diabetic. Many of them don't know it, because they didn't have the serum insulin test. They'll say, oh, you got prediabetes. Well, prediabetes is diabetes, okay? Now, when you run routine blood tests on people to find out if you are, you may be thin, you may be heavy, you might want to know. They do HbA1c, that's elevated. That's sugar that connected to hemoglobin. So HbA1c above 5.7, they might say you're pre-diabetic, and when you hit 6.456, you're diabetic. No, the path there, you got diabetes, changes occurring in your body. So you got an HbA1c, but get a serum insulin, even on the children. Many children have diabetes, and the pediatrician, I don't check for that till I don't get an HbA1c till they're 12 years old. No, that can occur at age 3, 4, and 5, and that child may die at a young age. Serum insulin testing, that's well in the literature. It's not just from me, Mark Hyman, many people, it's in their books, and read it. And don't accept just a HbA1c. Good test to run. 2 is a triglyceride. That's fat, but sugar makes it. HDL ratio is also a good test to get. Cholesterol, to me, is irrelevant. Don't stop it or start your cholesterol, your inhibitors. Don't stop or start them because of what I'm saying. Check with your doctor, but there's about 10 books on there, one by Evans, Toxic Effect of Statins, and many other books, Graveline. Read it, get some information. These people with statin drugs have brainwashed us doctors. And yeah, read the books, and gather information, look at YouTube, and then show them to your doctor. The doctor may not change his mind. He's been writing those forever, and you can't change his mind. You got to make up your own mind, but gather information. I researched that extensively. Statins are dangerous. They can cause diabetes. They can cause heart attack. At one of the hospitals, I had somebody that I knew that works in intensive care collect a couple of hundred blood tests. People who were getting a heart surgery done, they're all on statin drugs. Oh, well, why is that? Because statin causes heart disease, for Pete's sake. It's in the books. Read the summary of Evans' book. It'll tell you that. Now, you've been diagnosed, say, with type 2 diabetes. How do you get rid of it? Let me show you that path. Here's a book, Fork in the Road, A Hopeful Guide to Food Freedom. Okay, sugar is the biggest cause, but this is an excellent book. I can't stress that enough. The English doctors have this figured out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. David Unwin, and this book is by Jen Unwin, that's his wife, who's a psychologist, a nutrition psychologist at this time. They both had advanced diabetes. They were overweight. And remember, like I said, everybody's overweight is not necessarily diabetic. Maybe 80% are. And then you have the trophies that could be thin on the outside, but fat on the liver and pancreas. And that is what determines whether you have diabetes or not, whether the pancreas is functioning. But they wrote this interesting book, and what I like about it too is near the back of the book. I think if I had diabetes, I would buy this book. You can get the library maybe, but the references here even. Because we're stressed, we eat sugar. If you laid a donut there right now, I've had a stressful day, I might even eat it. I'm 35 pounds, so normal weight, all blood tests normal, no disease. I'm on no medicine, 88 years old. I like to be an example. I am. I play pickleball, I tap dance. Wait a minute. Okay? And but what's in this book here, and how to get rid of food addiction, books to read, and by famous people, Robert Lustig, for example, Gary Taubes, so you know this has authority. But David Unwin and his wife both had diabetes. They're both overweight. He's a family practice doctor. A patient walked in and said, Dr. Unwin, you've been teaching me the wrong thing. You're my doctor. He didn't recognize her. 8 years she's been a patient of his, and he didn't because she joined an online group of ladies, and they get rid of their diabetes, threw away their pills, but he was not closed-minded. He listened. The English Health Service would not let him prescribe it to the patients, so he ran his own studies. They let him do that, and now he's so famous. He has gone to 22 countries. He's 100 YouTube shows. His wife too. So, look at their YouTube shows. David, Unwin, and Jen Unwin. But I highly encourage you, if you have diabetes, get this book, and then use their websites, and then do what they ask you to do. And like Jen and David, they are both rid of the diabetes. They look like movie stars, and they're not exactly young people. You can go on YouTube and see them both. So David UNWN. Just Google it. That pops out of the YouTube. Start watching them. You need to get informed. Don't accept diabetes, man. Don't accept it. Prevent it or reverse it, whatever you get to do. When 80–90% of the people have it, I suspect most of you listening will reverse it. Another book I like to recommend to you. Let me just put up something else too. I look at what they ate for breakfast in my city here, and I looked at Chicago, different places. And this is a breakfast: cinnamon runs, juices, milk. You want to create sugar addicts? This is what I'll feed them. Our school system is turning our children into sugar addicts. They'll be diabetic. Tremendous cost. You say, well, the schools get government money because they've been bribed by the processed food company and by the congressmen who've been bribed by the sugar companies. Cinnamon buns for breakfast. This needs to change. You might say, well, the government gives them so much money who pay for these breakfasts. In some races affect more, and some people affect more by others. But it's not racial. It's a type of food that they're being given. The school system is killing more people of one race than another. And I've been to the school board and asked to speak to the head man a month ago. I have no appointment yet. I'd like him to join me here and explain the school meals. We're creating addicts. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. The people are going to die young, going to be disabled, get amputations, dislocations, Alzheimer's disease. I don't accept it. And another good book to read, he's from Canada, Dr. Jason Fung, the Diabetes Code. He was a renal doctor, and he finally woke up and decided all the patients he's looking at are diabetic, so he became a diabetic specialist. Now he's written a book on getting rid of being overweight, diabetes, cancer rates go down. He wrote great books. I highly recommend books of Jason Fung. Okay, and lastly, I really like this book here, especially no matter what type of diabetes that you got. It's Simply Keto by Susan Ryan. I highly recommend that. Look at her. She lost 100 pounds. Okay, remember I said not every diabetic is overweight. You could be a toffee. Okay, but even if you're a toffee, this is a good book for you because she has pictures in here of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You may want to eat only 2 meals like I do, and there's reasons for that. You only need 2 because your body secretes growth hormone, steroids. The appetite hormone goes down in the morning. As soon as the life arrives, your biome secretes enzymes. You really don't need to eat breakfast. Breakfast is something we started a few hundred years ago. It's not necessary. My blood sugar in the morning is like this. I play pickleball, feel great. Then I eat lunch, breakfast, lunch, breakfast. That's a quick way to get rid of your diabetes, but it's not necessary. But she has on every recipe has on there the amount of sugar, the amount of carbohydrates, the amount of protein is written on every page. And if I once spoke to a church recently where they had about 20 overweight people, okay? And I was going to talk to them, and get complex, read this, read that. And I found this book here, which cost $35 in the U.S. I found that you could buy them for $5 used, but they look like they're brand new. So I spent the $5 on these 20 people, and each bought them a book, and they only follow the recipes in here. Her first 66 pages explain the keto, which is high energy molecules are made by the liver. And you hear about this, and even Dr. Unwin in England talks about ketones, and which are, when you're not eating sugar, the insulin goes down, and then the fat cells open up because the insulin went down, and the fat goes to the liver, turns into ketones, and you eat that. They're very high energy molecules. The brain loves to live on them. Your muscles love them. Your organs love them. It's a great way. And Susan also has a good YouTube show. So she calls it Keto Karma, Karma. So you can do Susan Ryan, Google Susan Ryan Karma Keto, and she speaks a lot about the psychology of eating, because we eat sugar to make us feel good. So perfectly understandable. Who doesn't have stress? Okay, but I want you to exercise or do what I do 4 days a week. You wouldn't believe it. You got to bring some humor and music into your life. So I take up tap dancing. I'm pretty good at it. I've been doing it 3 years now. I encourage children and adults to do it. It's a movement. And then I go to a gym in my building where they have a room. You can close the door. I'm by myself. And what I'm doing is about 20 songs on my iPhone. I play them, and then I tap dance to them. And I might, New York, raindrops falling my head. I might sing those songs. So it's music and happiness and exercise, which is a good habit. Yeah, I would consider that. Even when you're walking, outside, the weather's good now. Look at the birds and whistle at the birds and look at the trees and connect to nature is a good way to relax too. So what I'm saying is, don't accept type 2 diabetes. Don't accept it. Yeah, you can prevent it, but if you didn't prevent it, 80-90% of the people have got it now, so they didn't prevent it. But your body is an orchestra, okay? And all your organs are the instruments. But you're the conductor. Step up to the plate. Don't just go like this. Say, I'll have this the rest of my life. I accept all the diseases. I'm going to die young, but you're not going to just die young. Maybe 60 and 70s you may consider young, but you'll be disabled. Yes, you may have a leg amputated. There's a person in town who I've tried to teach this to, who I've been to 3 funerals in his family. They've all had their legs amputated. Yes. And I tried to teach them. They were closed-minded, and they just said, "Oh, I accept the pills and shots. Dr. Rudy, I respect diabetes." Don't respect it. Get rid of it. It can be done 90% of the time. And what's interesting too, I've found out, and Dr. Fung found out in his studies, that you may have been on insulin for 20, 30 years. You may have been on it 20, 30 years because there's fat in your pancreas. But you exercise and get the fat out of the organs. That's the main thing. Your total weight, it doesn't matter that much. The fat has to be out of the organs, and they can do studies on that to determine that. Once it leaves the pancreas and the liver, the pancreas can wake up again and work and secrete insulin. That was not known. And what Dr. Unwin discovered too, the one I spoke about, what Dr. Unwin discovered too is that we always thought that kidney disease, the glomerular filtration rate, is not reversible because kidney disease and heart disease are closely associated, okay? And found out that if you get the fat out of the pancreas and liver, the pancreas can actually reverse. The GFR can go back up. GFR, glomerular filtration rate, is around 100 when you're a teenager. Mine is around 80 right now. If it's 25, they want to start dialyzing your kidney. The dialysis centers aren't teaching what I'm teaching. They want business. They want you to have diabetes. I've even been to, I've been to all the hospitals in my community here to try to get them to teach. They have diabetic centers. They have obesity centers. Yes, they do. But to truly get rid of your disease, I provided the books, show it to them. Offer to give free classes, no charge. Not interested, because they make their living maybe over sick people. Maybe that's the answer. Yeah, maybe that's the answer. But none of the hospitals here were interested. But I'm going to keep on trying and see that they might change. And I think one of them eventually will, because they'll save so much money. See, Dr. Unwin in England, because of socialized medicine, when the people don't have the diabetes and they get rid of it, they're saving so much money. That is a huge system in Europe now. They're way ahead of us. Dr. Unwin been in 22 countries, giving talks and lectures and DVDs and books. And like I said, I highly encourage you to get this book, Fork on the Road by Jen Unwin, because her connection to her websites are a treasure. They're a treasure. For example, she is dietdoctor.com, probably the world's biggest website devoted to the benefits of low-carb and ketogenic diets. A mine of information. Remember that carb addicts should avoid sweeteners and alcohol, even if they're allowed on other plans. Yes, in the websites. Next one, diabetes.com.uk, the world's largest online community for people with diabetes and support groups. phcuk.org. There's one after the other recovery resources for meditation, relaxation, how to get rid of stress, calm.com, all these websites, 3-4 pages of different ones. You don't want diabetes, get this book. If you feel you need some explanation and recipes, I think Simply Keto by Susan Ryan is a fantastic book, because she has pictures of all the recipes, 66 pages of explaining what keto is all about. I've used it on many patients. Maybe get both these books. You can always get the library to order them. And with that, and I really appreciate you listening to me. Every 2 weeks I have this show again. But you need to gather information. Don't accept diabetes. And look at my YouTube show that'll be on there, which I did before, 1 hour long on health and teeth. Brush your teeth every day, twice a day, and floss, because the bacteria are sugar feeders, and it will make you sick. So that'd be a good one, YouTube show to watch. I'll be on there within 2 weeks, I think. So thank you for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Look at my 700 YouTube shows on health. The nation of India is doing it to teach their diabetics how to get rid of their disease. Yeah, they are downloading it to the phone in different languages. So why am I doing this? I do it for free, for Pete's sake. I do it because I love you. I care about you. We want to stop, reverse disease. Thank you for watching. I say namaste. Look at my YouTube shows and read some of the books I recommend. And you can get rid of diabetes for 8 weeks or quicker if you do fasting, 16-8, like it says on my book here. That's on Amazon. Prevention is the cure, but also you can reverse it in a month. Thanks so much. We love you, care about you, and maybe if you get healthy, you can play pickleball or tap dance with me. Thanks for listening.